Hi, welcome back to Fish the Mark. Today's episode is really a continuation of our Getting Started in Fishing and Learning How to Fish series. I'm going to take a little bit of time to review the live bait setup you would need for pan fishing. So the hook, the bobber, the weight, and how to get it all kind of set up and ready to go, and the type of live bait that I would recommend for somebody just getting started. So we're going to go through that, and then I think it'll be an interesting, for those that have never done this before, I think it'd be really interesting on how you get started in fishing.
All right, so we're down at the workbench, and basically when it comes time to go fishing, you're going to end up with a live bait of either waxworms or redworms. You're going to end up with a rig like this that has a hook like that there. It's going to have a weight, and you're going to have a bobber, right? And so at the end of this, you want to be able to set up a system like that that gets you everything that you need here. So I'm going to go through and show basically the different things that I did to come together and put that together. So the first part that we're going to look at is the hook. And so I just grabbed 3 hooks that I had in my tackle box for panfish, and you can see those here. A hook isn't. Hooks are very important because they're what hooks the fish. But when you're fishing with like waxworms or redworms, the really only consideration you need to make off the bat is, are you going to use waxworms or redworms? And if you're going to use a waxworm, you want a small hook. This is like a size 6 size hook. If you're going to use redworms, they're bigger, so you can use like a size 2 hook, which is what that is. This is just a different style hook. It's got some little keeper things on it right there, little barbs on it that help your bait, prevent your bait from falling off. This one is thicker wire, which makes it probably a little tougher to use the waxworms on, and the redworms probably be fine on it. It's probably somewhere, around a size 4 hook or something like that. But those are really just the a hook about that size. I'll have a couple pictures of packaging for some of these kind of hooks here at the end of the video, so you can see roughly what the packaging looks like. But you just really need a size 2 to a size, a size 2 to a size 6 size hook for this. And then you're going to want a weight to help get the bait down in the water column. And so this is a size 5. You probably want a size 4 or size 5 weight. Can go down to a small or as big as a size 3. As the numbers get smaller, the weights get bigger. A size 3 is pretty big though, and might sink your bobber too far. So that's why I like these size 5s and maybe a size 4. And then I like these kind here that have the ability to pinch the backside like that and open it up. And so in a few minutes here, I'll show you how we put all these things on the line. But this is the packaging that that the weights typically come in. And then the final consideration in this is the bobber. And honestly, these are the bobbers that a lot of people see and are used to. I hate these bobbers. I can't stand them. In fact, as soon as I'm done with this video, I'm going to throw this bobber in the garbage because I don't even want it around me. These things have they're not the greatest to put on the line. They tend to slide around and not stay where you put them. And they put too much resistance so that when it's in the water and a fish goes to pull it under the water, there's so much pressure against it, the fish often let go of it before you know that you had the fish on the line. And so I just don't like these round style bobbers at all. And so I don't recommend them. So it's already in the garbage can. I haven't even finished the video and I threw it in the garbage can. I like stick bobbers for water that you're fishing when you're only dropping it down less than 3 feet. the lure down, or the bait down less than 3 feet. The reason why I like these for that is when it's less than 3 feet, they're easy to cast. They sit in the water like this, and they don't have a lot of resistance. So when the fish goes to pull it under, it goes under real easy, and the fish will keep the bait in its mouth when it pulls it under instead of letting go with the resistance. But you'll be able to see real well that the fish took this bobber under. So I like these stick bobbers when it's when you've got less than 3 feet below the bobber to the hook. When you've got more than 3 feet, I like these slip bobbers. So this slip bobber is a combination of this with a bobber stop on it. And so let me take just a few minutes here and show how to put both the stick bobber and then this bobber on a line. So going back to our original contraption here, to take this bobber off, it's just got a spring on it right there, and you just pick where you want to put it on the line. See the little slot right there in the wood? You just put the line inside the slot, let go of the spring, and that'll hold it pretty well, but it's still, you can still move it to different depths by simply pulling up on that spring a little bit, and then you can still move it around, so you got different lengths of line out, depending on how deep you want the weight and the hook to be below the line. So that's how you put a stick bobber on. These slip bobbers here are a little different. You use a thing called a bobber stop. So the first time I did a bobber stop, I didn't have any idea how to do it at all. So that's why I'm showing you here. See, they come with the bobber stop. This little black thing is actually the bobber stop. And they come on these little wires. And you simply run the line through the end of that wire, and then you pull off the bobber stop off that wire onto the line, and then you pull it up until you're just all on one line. So at one point I had both of these lines inside, both the tag line here and the main line were inside the bobber stop. I pulled it off of this wire enough so that it was all just on here. And now you can put that there. You can run your bobber, your line right through here into the bobber, and you see how that bobber stop stops that bobber there. So now you can put this bobber stop 10 feet if you want into your line, and then, but what it does, and the reason why I like this, is when you go to cast it, it'll go all the way back down to the hook and the weight, and so you don't have very much line out to cast. So you're not casting like with a stick bobber, like that kind. If you're trying to fish in 10 feet of water with it, you've got 10 feet of line out when you go to cast it. And that's really hard to cast, especially for a beginning fisherman. It's hard for an experienced fisherman to cast with 10 feet of line out. These slip bobbers, your bobber stop will get reeled into the rod, which is fine. It's small and it'll go through the rod guides fine, but the bobber stays outside the rod guides, and makes it really easy, because you only end up with maybe 2 feet of line out, even if you're trying to fish in 10 foot of water with it. And so these are awesome for fishing that deeper water, and still using a bobber system. And so I really recommend, these slip bobbers with a bobber stop, or a stick bobber as the two bobber types. And then again, these hooks here, size 2 to size 6, and weights that are what's called split shot weights, that are in size 3, 4, or 5, are really the sizes I like. Size 5 the best for panfish and bluegill and crappie and stuff like that. And that's really all you need. You can buy bobbers, weights, and hooks. Probably to have enough bobbers, weights, and hooks to go out and fish for a day. Probably cost you about $5. And then, you need some wax worms or red worms, and we'll show you some of those here in a little bit as well. So, so that's really all you need from a live bait perspective to get started.
So I appreciate everybody dropping in today and seeing what we have on the channel for getting started in fishing. The next video in this series is going to be around tying the knots that you need to tie the hooks onto the line, so you have a good solid knot that your line won't break when you catch a fish. And then the one after that will show you how to put live bait on a hook so that you understand the best way to do that. And so those will be the next two videos that come out in the series. And then I'm going to take a little bit of a turn with this series and start talking about a beginner's tackle box for bass fishing and some of the lures that you would want to get started in bass fishing. So those are going to be the next three videos in this series on getting started. Thanks for coming to the channel today. Appreciate you taking a look. Please provide any comments on what you'd like to see done better, and like and subscribe to the channel if you like what we're doing. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.